what inspired you to do this? Was it just the fact that you couldn't believe the numbers?
Yeah, so I had worked here like 5 years ago, and I remembered it being bad, but I didn't live here that long. I probably lived here about 6 months at that point, and then I got out and went to Colorado, and so whatever. And then when I moved back last year,
Yep.
I had already been writing down my stiffs just as a thing to do. I'm not even sure why I started doing that. It was just kind of an interesting thing to do to me. Like every time I got stiffed, I would write down what address it was and just kind of, eventually I was just compiling a list, and that became a list of if an order came in and I was like, I think I recognize that address, I could look it up. And if they were on the stiff list, I could be like, well, maybe they don't need a plastic fork, or maybe I can take a little bit of extra time to get there.
Give it to the new guy or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can take your time, you can do whatever. And I mean, yeah, it is petty for sure, but I deliver pizza.
Do you think you're one of the only pizza delivery guys to like make a list, or do you think a lot of pizza delivery guys do that?
I feel like it's not like a novel idea. Like it's pretty easy to think like, yeah, let me just write down these lists. But everyone I've worked with who I've showed it to, they go, you have a list? So
they can't imagine it.
Yeah,
but at the same time,
and then they ask me, will you send it to me?
Oh, really? No, you don't get the list. If anything, you should start charging people in the area that are delivering pizza for your top, because you got all the stats of everything.
Yeah.
And you could charge Domino's, you could charge Pizza Hut, whatever else there is in Mankato. You can make a little bit of extra money off of doing that.
I got the stats.
That's crazy though. That's what really intrigued me. And so you wrote this blog post, and this was on October 10th, which was 2 days ago, 1 day ago.
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Couple days
2
ago.
days, yeah.
And so you wrote a year of bad luck, and then you kind of explain a little things here, and we get to the number. This is the times 631 is the number of times you got stiffed in 1 year.
1 year.
That is unreal.
Is that last year, this year?
That's last October 5th to 5 days ago. Yeah.
Wow. And that, I mean, when I was reading, I wasn't expecting that to be the number.
It's funny because I've become so jaded doing this, not only for so long, but even just keeping track, that when I saw the number, I thought, that's it? It's like I couldn't figure out if it was
Really?
high or low because I've lived with the numbers so long. So
Yeah.
I didn't know what that number would mean to someone reading it who doesn't know.
Do you know how many deliveries you did in that year total?
See, that's the problem. I've gotten a lot of flack for this article. So I posted it on Reddit, a couple different subreddits, which is how you found it.
Yep.
And one of I posted it to my Facebook just for my friends, and one of them, unbeknownst to me, posted it to fark.com. I don't know if you're familiar with Fark.
I'm not familiar with it.
That's
no.
like old school internet. Like that's like a 90s
Really?
site that's still holding on. I never really used it, but I've been aware of it. And
Yeah.
so they've been around for a long time and therefore have a large community. And essentially it's just an aggregate of like links. It's kind of like a really stripped down Reddit kind of.
Yeah.
So it got accepted, I guess, and he sent me this link. It was like, hey, your blog is on Fark. And sure enough, I go there. It's been there for 12 hours, and it's got 200 comments and like 6,000 views, and people are tearing it apart.
I was
Oh,
going to
yeah.
say, I feel like there's probably a lot of trolls on there.
Well, it's mostly just angry nerds who they're like, you're not a statistician. You're not doing it right.
People got to rip apart every tiny thing. Like you did this out of probably mainly just to like, let the information out there, right?
Yeah, and yeah, it's the frustrating thing is they're not wrong. Like that's the thing. Going back to your question, I don't know how many deliveries I took total, and that would help a lot putting these numbers into perspective. I agree.
You could probably average out though. I mean, obviously we're never going to get the exact number because you didn't keep track, but you could probably average out, because Domino's probably knows how many deliveries are done on an average on a Monday, on an average Friday,
Right.
and you can kind of figure out generally how many there are.
Yeah, and I actually, I did take a guess in the blog to try to put it in perspective where I would guess, this may not be accurate, but I would guess I take about 15 deliveries a day. If you put together the busy nights and the slow nights,
Yep.
probably about 15 a day.
15 a day. Okay. And how would that be for an 8-hour shift, or how long?
That's about 8 or 9 hours, yeah.
Wow, really? I was expecting there to be more, but I guess I've never delivered before, so I have no idea. I mean, obviously you got to drive to the store, and then you got to pick it up, and then you got to bring it there, and then you got to drive back. Or do you pick up multiple pizzas and go out and do it? Like, I'm not familiar at all.
Well, yeah, sometimes And that's also that stat, 15 a day. That's like the last year. It's been, like I said, the pandemic has really slowed things down for us. So a lot of days have been just dreadfully slow where it's like, I might work an 8-hour shift and take, 8 deliveries. That's 1 an hour.
Wow.
Just because it's slow.
Yep.
But yeah, if it's busy, that is a thing that happens where it's like, oh, there's 2 deliveries, side by side up in, the corner of the map. Yeah, I'll take them both.
Yeah. And now in the article, you develop like a baseline for the stiff. It wasn't just nothing. You say it was less than 51 cents.
Yep.
So some people thought 25 cents would be reasonable for a pizza order.
People love to say keep the change, and the change is 8 cents.
Wow, you generous guy.
It happens every day.
You generous man.
I wouldn't have guessed. Yeah. Let me go fish out these pennies for you.
Yeah. And so when you're traveling, you've worked in these different places. How does Mankato stack up then compared to, let's say, Colorado or, Minnesota compared to Colorado?
See, Colorado was interesting because I got paid less than minimum wage. So that
really,
yeah, Colorado is one of those states where they can basically say, you make tips and therefore we can pay you less than minimum wage, and the tips will make up for that.